masterfully done.
Hello,
Masterfully
2 Forts
done.
Tower.
Hello?
The actors made the characters
It's
feel
Henry, right?
extremely
I'm
relatable.
Delilah.
I'm going to give the game
So,
yeah, all done with Firewatch. Great game. I just gotta say that immediately. Really great game. Awesome experience. I enjoyed it. I'm very happy I decided to sit down and finally play it. Now that I am quite a ways behind on finally playing it since it's been out since 2016, but it was an experience. I definitely enjoyed it. It was very, very good. Firewatch is a single player, first person, atmospheric, story rich mystery game set in the Wyoming wilderness, where your only emotional lifeline is the person on the other end of a handheld radio. Was developed by an 11-man studio called Campo Santo, if I'm saying that right. And it was actually published by the developer and in partnership with the publishing team known as Panic. The game was released in February 2016 for PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. The Xbox One was actually in September of that same year. And then the Nintendo Switch got the game in December of 2018. So you can also play it on there if you desire to as well. The game state / potential. There's not a whole lot to be said here, mainly just because of the fact the game was released as a finished game. It wasn't anything else. When it was released, it was done. Everything was there. Full control, story, and content. It does end with a finished story. So that's where a possible idea for a sequel would be either maybe it follows a new main character or just another character from this game, potentially. But I will say that with how the game ended, I feel like a sequel is definitely not necessary, or probably wouldn't even need to be done at all. Just because it was done very well, it ended well enough that it can be left as is. That'd be about the only thing for like potential would be maybe a sequel, but even then, I don't really think a actual honest to goodness sequel of the game would be necessary. Now, the graphics and everything, another short section, not too much to be talked about here. The game's graphics were extremely pleasing to the eye and everything. Not realistic by any means. It was much more of a cartoon-like feeling with how they went for the design. But I will say it felt very right for this kind of game. And it was just very pleasing. It was very easy on the eyes and everything. It was still very beautiful with how they designed everything, but it was just simple, which also makes it a very easy game to play on any system. Now, the overall gameplay was simple. Just every aspect of the game was just simple down to every mechanic of how it played, essentially. The game primarily focused more on the storytelling than the actual like repetitive game mechanics or anything like that. And it had key moments where you would obtain new equipment to then get to new places in the open world setting that the game was in. Simple game mechanics with dialogue options, exploration, and a great atmosphere. I did experience 2 small bugs at points where I tried to interact with the environment. Pretty much I would start floating away all of a sudden from the spot when I'm trying to interact with it. Like one time I was trying to go through some bushes and push them out of the way. I kept sliding backwards. From what everyone in chat and everything that I've seen, it was just a very random bug. That's expected in games though. It wasn't a common thing. That was just something that my game had. But I easily fixed it just by simply doing a save at that spot and then just reloading the save. That fixed the problem just like that. So it wasn't game breaking or anything like that, and it was a very easy fix. But that's the overall for the gameplay. Now, the sound design in this game, I will have to say, was absolutely amazing. Every aspect from the voice acting down to all the ambient sounds and music and whatnot. The voice acting is what really stood out to me.
Tell you what, why don't you choose for me and I'll choose for you?
all right, sure. Maybe.
The actors made the characters feel extremely relatable, and you could really feel the emotions coming from all the different characters' dialogues and stuff like that. It didn't feel like it was a script at all. Like, it was that very well done voice acting where it actually felt like these people were in this situation, essentially. No matter if it was either a terrified type of thing or more calm, the transfer between the different emotions going from like a scared dialogue to a more calming dialogue and such. Felt very natural. It felt very good. So I was very pleased with that. And the rest of the sound design, such as the atmosphere, the walking, all that kind of stuff, interaction with things, as well as the music, was also amazing. Very, very well done. It was perfectly placed in key moments of the game to help you feel what was going on at that moment. Like, it really sold that. A lot of times, like, good voice acting is important, yes, but I also feel like when you have very good songs, or at least very good music in the background, everything can really amp up, either make a moment more thrilling or terrifying, or even bring the emotions out of a moment a lot. So sound design, and especially in music, I feel like is very important in a lot of these kind of things. And they did amazing with that. Like, it was amazing. There have been a few games that I played where the music was good, but it felt out of place. Like, the moment was meant to be a little more intense and the music didn't quite fit. This game 100% fit every single moment. They did not miss their marks, and it was amazing. The controls were extremely simplistic and smooth, actually. Being able to move around the map with ease and also not be overwhelmed with options and all these extra kind of things you have to memorize. Some games can be a little overwhelming, and that's not a bad thing. That's just how those games are designed. This one was very simple with the moving. It didn't have a lot of extra, like, unnecessary mechanics and such. They just had it all designed perfectly well for how the controls were to interact with the environment and the story and how everything just worked for the type of game that it is, which is more of a walking simulator type of exploration game, but still greatly done. This game is primarily a storytelling. It's narrative driven. It was absolutely amazing. From the beginning of the game, I was pulled into the story and intrigued, with the story starting immediately off with the main character and his life story, essentially. It was masterfully told in a short and deep way, right from the beginning. And it really got me sucked into it. Like, immediately, it wasn't like a bunch of dialogue. It was reading with a few other kind of things in here, mixed with a little bit of gameplay and whatnot. But it was very short with a couple options too. They actually threw in some dialogue options where you could actually change how the story went. It was just very well done. It was short and sweet, but at the same time, masterfully told to where you were very much pulled in on what was going on with the main character and his story before you even get into the main game itself, where you start doing stuff. So I gotta say, that was very, very well done. And as I've said before on some of my streams and some of my videos and such here and there, when it comes to a story game, when it's focused on the narrative, it's very important for me, especially when a game does very well telling the story in a cinematic way almost. And this game did that. There is lore, but this was masterfully done where it was primarily the cinematic side. You, like, the story, you could be satisfied with the story. The entire story was told through cinematic storytelling and such. And there was lore in the world as well. You could find collectibles and stuff like that, which did present a little more extra depth to the story, but that wasn't necessary for the story to be told. And I love that in story-driven games. Me personally, that's what I really like to find in a story-driven game, is where everything can be told in the cinematic side of it, whereabouts the lore base is just for those individuals that want more from the story. But you don't need to have any of the lore-based stuff from collectibles or notes or anything like that found in the world in order to experience the main story. It just adds to it, essentially. And I love that about this game. Now, this also kind of ties into the replay value of the game too. Our next point, replay value. I would definitely say the game is very short. It only took me, normally it only takes people about 4.5, maybe 5 hours on average from the people that I've talked to, and that's about what it took me to play the game in actual gaming minutes. But with multiple dialogue options and different things to explore in the map, it is easy to sit down and play through the game multiple times. And it's a great game for speedrunners, I will say as well. I know people who are actually in the top 10 speedrunners of the game and whatnot, and it's great. It's very well built for that, but it can also be enjoyed with the story and all that kind of stuff as well. And with multiple dialogue options, you can have different interactions happen within the game that you're not going to get unless you replay the game. So that's another important thing. And plus, again, with how short the game is, it's easy to go back and do multiple playthroughs. So it's not too long and it's not too short. I feel like it's very well done for this kind of thing. And now this also ties in to our 10th point, which is the price. So this is a new one that I'm going to start adding into all the game reviews that I do, is the actual pricing of the game we talk about just a little bit. Because I know I've had quite a few people ask, oh, is it worth the price? And it is something to note, essentially. I don't feel like a lot of people talk about the pricing behind a game and such. So with everything being said about the game, the price for the game, to me, seems reasonable. $20 asking price. It feels like a good price for what I got to experience in the game. At the end of the day, it's up to you on if it's worth what you want to spend that money on. But just for me personally, $20 is a very fair price. I feel like for me, I would spend the $20 again on the game in order to play it again. But the game, I will also say, the game seems to go on sale quite often, especially on Steam. So if you haven't had a chance to pick it up, and if you are on PC and can pick it up on Steam specifically, I would encourage you to throw it on your wish list, because it does go on pretty decent sales quite often for only like $5 or something. So a quarter of the price. At that point, you're definitely getting your money's worth if you enjoy a good story game. And if that's what you're looking to get out of it, I'll definitely say $20 even. I feel like that's a reasonable price and everything, especially in today's market. It's not bad or anything, but if you want to pick it up for sale, you totally can. It goes on sale quite often. So with everything that we've covered about the game, I would say this game, it was an absolutely amazing experience in every way. The music, the sound, surely glitches happen, but that's not normal. I'm pretty sure if I played through it again, maybe verified files and a few other things like that, it would probably be perfectly fine. So every aspect of the game was absolutely fantastic. The mystery, the thrill, the exploration, everything of it was fantastic. It did not miss any marks for me. It did everything that I expected of the game, and I'm pretty sure it accomplished everything that the devs wanted for this game to be as well. So with all that being said, I'm going to do something I don't do very often, but I feel like this game honestly deserves it. I feel like it 100% deserves. There's nothing they could have done to improve. They did amazing with every aspect of the game: story, graphics, controls, just the whole overall design, the sound, everything, all masterfully done. Masterfully done. I'm going to give the game a solid 10 out of 10 iron bars. 100%. The game met every expectation that I had, and it was an absolute masterpiece. I cannot think of a single thing that I would change with this game at all. I can't think of anything wrong with it. I can't think of anything that I can't even think of anything I would improve on the game, because I feel like everything that they chose to do with the game at the time, even now, it still holds water and everything for what it is. And it just does an amazing job with what it is today, even. So 10 out of 10 bars across the board. I would highly recommend it if you are a person who loves really good storytelling. You cannot miss out on this if you have. I'm late to it, so I understand that. I'm definitely 8 years late to it a little bit here. So if you have yet to experience this game, I would definitely recommend it. So don't wait any longer. Get your ass over there and pick the game up and go on a mystery. Why don't you? And that's all I got for you guys today.